County Commissioner Kevin Shutty. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning, Jeff. How are you?
I am well. How you doing?
Good. Good to be back with you.
Good to
The last
see
time
you.
I was here, I think it was day 100 of my term. So good to be back here in full-blown summer mode, I think.
Full-blown summer mode, as it was a lot of folks in town yesterday and over the whole weekend, actually.
Yeah.
We have a briefing today at 9, and it is going to start discussing a pretty important topic regarding not only the county, but the citizens in the county. We're talking budget. We're talking some tough numbers this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically this time of year, we're getting geared up for the following year's budget, and we're doing that as well. But before we get started on 2018, we have a few outstanding items to take care of for 2017 that we've been tracking for a little while, but I think we're here at the decision-making point of the year where we need to make some difficult decisions. And I know that our staff has been working very hard on some of this at the county, and so I kind of wanted to stop by and let everybody know what we've been working on. And the other important part of that is to hopefully make sure that people are engaged and watching and listening to what we're working on and talking about. So where we stand, earlier in the year, February, March, we were briefed on some cash flow issues that the county was having. Early projections seemed to indicate that we wouldn't be hitting our targets this year in terms of what we budgeted for expenditure-wise and revenue-wise, and so that we were going to be a little bit out of balance. And so we've been tracking that for the past couple of months, and finally last week, the Finance Committee for the county, which is made up of the treasurer, the auditor, and then the chair of the commission, which this year is me, got together and we had a conversation about where the numbers are and what the numbers look like. And the Finance Committee recommended to the Board of Commissioners to make about $2 million worth of reductions in the 2017 budget. At that point, we kind of tasked the budget writing or budget manager staff to come back to the commission with some suggestions. So later this morning, when we're back into the office, we're going to be getting a briefing on the track that we probably need to take in order to get our budget back into compliance and make sure that it's balanced for the rest of the year. Why that's important is because we start to use those numbers to build our 2018 budget. And so we want to make sure that we're starting in a strong position for 2018. Unfortunately, that means we're going to have to reduce the budget by about $2 million.
So in February or March, you kind of started to see these things, and why do you get a sense that there wasn't the monies that were coming in that you first thought would come in?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of time to dissect and do a postmortem on this budget in particular. But I'll just say I don't think that this happens because of one bad budget. I think there have been a number of decisions over a long period of time, some within the county's control, some outside of it. I just want to go through. I brought a cheat sheet,
Sure,
if you don't mind
please.
if I reference that. We've had some, and one of the key parts of this is that we've spent down our rainy day fund, so our reserves. And so some of the things that we've hit on there have been $1.7 million for inmate outsourcing over a period of 3 years. All of those inmates are now back in county, so that's a benefit to us in that we're not going to be hopefully doling out millions of dollars in outsourcing as we try to work through figuring out what to do with our criminal justice facilities. But we've had salaries and benefits increases. We've increased staff. Those total nearly $2 million. We've had a couple of settlements, both with the sewer and some labor settlements that total about $2.5 million. And then we had unexpected end-of-year expenses at the end of 16 to go into 17 with it that are just under $1 million. And so, as you kind of see these numbers start to pile up, that's about $7 million that have taken a big chunk out of our reserve account over the past few years. And so counties are, and we're not alone in some of these revenue issues. Counties across the state are facing similar crunches with the budget. And that's why it's just really important for us to make sure that we're living within our means, that we're being fiscally conservative and responsible with the limited resources that we have. Because frankly, when you have situations like this, when you spend down your reserves, when you have, having to make reductions like this, you're telling the people of the county, look, you have to choose between remaining financially solvent and stable or having to choose between things like public health and public safety. And so that's why it's super important for us to make sure that we're budgeting within reality and within our means.
And what are some? I know this is the start of this process, but have there been any conversations about ways to increase the revenues? Are there limitations to property tax increases or additional specific fund increases? And I know that transportation is kind of in its own separate category. Things like that.
Yeah, so one of the things that's being hotly debated in Olympia right now, as you're well aware, and your listeners are probably too, that is there in the third special session. One of the issues that's still being debated down there is a 1% property tax cap, and finding a way to lift that in order to give counties more flexibility in terms of raising revenue. It's unclear right now whether or not that's going to be able to pass. I know it's something that counties have asked for a number of years and had little success with it. But we've been able to look at some other options as well, and our staff presented us with a number of options earlier this year. One of the options is a public safety sales tax. Would be 0.3%, so 3 cents on a $10 purchase, basically. City of Shelton has 0.1%, and so we would have to, if we were to go that route, we would have to have a conversation with them about revenue sharing and things like that. But that's one of those areas where we see the biggest part of our budget goes to criminal justice, and that would be one of the revenue areas that we could potentially look at that would be available to counties outside of the property tax cap lift that may or may not happen in the legislature. We've been in a similar position before. If you go back to 2009, the economy was struggling. A lot of counties and people in general were feeling the pinch with the recession and a lot of challenges. And so we've pulled ourselves out of that in the past. And so I'm confident that we can pull ourselves out of this situation yet again. My concern is, how do we avoid it? How do we stop repeating history and make sure that we put ourselves on a stable path forward? And so that's where the 2-year budget has come in for me. That's why I've had those conversations. I think we're moving forward with that this year to go to sort of a compromise or a hybrid 2-year budget where we're going to present and prepare a 2018 budget in total, a full budget. And then we're also going to provide a 2019 preliminary budget and kind of those come out simultaneously. That 2019 budget then can sit on the rack. We can have conversations about revenue, and we can have conversations about expenditures and make sure that that budget is out there for a longer period of time than we're going to have with budgets in the past, and then have a serious conversation about what our priorities are going forward.
Since 2008, 2009, did the county continue to add its allowed 1% property tax increase or other ways to increase revenue?
Some years the county has taken the 1%, other years it hasn't. So it has depended. I believe this year we did take it for the 17 budget.
And what are some options that you guys as a commission can do? What are the limits, the thresholds before we have to turn it over to like a vote of the citizens?
So most everything would have to go to a vote of the citizens. Public safety sales tax, any kind of a levy shift between the road fund and the general fund, any of those things would have to go before the public for a vote. There are different thresholds. Public safety sales tax is a simple majority, so 50 plus 1 would get that passed. Other things would take a 2/3 vote of the people. And so where we are this year, it would be very, very difficult to get something on the November ballot. Would need to have that ready to go by August 1st to the auditor's office. And frankly, that's just not enough time to have the public input that I think would be necessary to move move something like that forward. But we're open to that discussion. That'll probably factor into today's conversation a little bit. But with Commissioner Jeffries out for the day, we're going to hold off on having a revenue generating conversation until she's back. So we want to make sure that everybody's involved in the conversation.
And then when we look at the short $2 million or so, everybody in the departments are going through again with their fine-tooth combs to find cuts. I'd imagine it's hard to do these halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, I've got this amount, and now maybe I don't have this amount. Are there certain things that you'll be imploring those department heads to look closer at, or is it a personnel reduction or anything?
So I think it's going to be a lot at the discretion of the independently elected officials, and I know that's a challenge because as the commission, we set the budget. That's our job. We say this is how much money we're going to have. This year we were off. And like I said, some of those things were outside of our control. Some of them, were policy decisions made over a number of years. And so I know that it's going to be a challenge for the other electeds to sit down and kind of pencil out how this is going to work for their individual departments, which is unfortunate. But unless we get ourselves back to a stable, predictable path forward, we're going to continue to have these problems. And I'd rather do the hard work now and then, try to right the ship.
So the meeting today, 9 o'clock, it's at the Commission Chambers?
Yep, right downtown.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, please come by and start to get involved in this lengthy process that will, it will be ongoing. We're always talking about this, but it's starting today with the briefing, 9 o'clock, and it's open. And you are more than welcome to participate and offer up any ideas. I know Kevin is out and about town, so anytime you see him, you can bend his ear, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Please do.